Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European Cross-Sub webinar. And we're seeing a relatively quiet start to the week in FX. Euro dollar just slightly higher, and the same can be said also for the cable. Just relatively quiet. I'll just go and drag this on top. Fairly quiet here. What we're seeing here. So here with euro and cable. And take a look. We'll go in and take a quick peek over here on the Aussie dollar. Chris Williams from IHS saying possibility of a renewed downturn has greatly increased, and we did get some data, and we'll pull this up, and that's on the PMIs that we just got out. And you see earlier we had Spanish services PMI come in at 42.4, which was lower than the expected poll of 46. Italian services PMI came in at 48, a little bit stronger than the 46.6 they're looking for. And then, of course, we had French services PMI came in right in line at 47.5, and the composite came in line at 48.5. We did get German services PMI, which came in just a hair bit stronger at 50.6 than the expected 49.1. And then the composite final PMI coming in right in line, well, just a little bit stronger. Not bad either at 54.7. And then at the top, this top of the hour that we just got started in, we did get Eurozone services final PMI came in at 48 and composite at 50. As I said, IHS's Williamson was stating that there's a possibility that we will see a downturn. We have seen that increase in coronavirus cases that I remember talking about, oh God, over, I guess it was over 3 weeks ago, and the potential that that could weigh on the euro. And that's actually where the euro took a pause at that point and has not been able to make much headway on the upside, hasn't pulled down too much. Looking at the bottom of the hour, we will have a Eurozone Centix index, which is looking for a negative 9.5 with retail sales at, which will be at the top of this next hour, 2.4%. And we do get a UK services final PMI. Reuters polls for 55. As we come into the States, we will have at 9:45 Eastern, market composite final PMI with services final PMI, both at 9:45 Eastern, and at 10 a.m. we do get employment trends, and then this will be key is ISM manufacturing PMI. That will be at 10 a.m. Eastern, so that should go on and move the needle here, and that's expected to be 56.3. We do have some business, the sub-indexes as far as business index, employment, new orders, and prices paid. Those will all be out at 10 a.m. Eastern with the ISM manufacturing PMI. That should go on and move the market. As I said, it's been a relatively quiet start to the session. You can see here, not any real significant movements here in euro, cable, Aussie dollar. We can take a look at the CAD. Just quiet start to the week. We can go and take a look here. Irene said, "Can you look closely at NVIDIA today?" Yeah, we'll take a look a little bit later on, but you can see here. Well, we just average had the daily up. Pretty good little gap here. Let's move it into the daily chart. Pretty good drop here. NVIDIA is one of those that was actually, well, for a while it's been leading the pack, but I mean, on this recent run, it was leading the pack. Also, when some of the other ones like Apple were a little bit slow to move higher. And then, of course, we saw this, which would have been on Thursday. And then, of course, Friday, market caught that news from Thursday night with Trump's COVID diagnosis. And then you can see here we dropped to the lows. It'll be interesting to see how we open in after hours. We might already have the after hours. We'll flick onto the, let's see, they're close at 55.22.49 after hours. So it's going to be about the same anyway. Looks like they opened up even a little bit weaker, like 519. Go to the daily. Yeah, they opened a little bit, even a little bit lower there in the after hours. We haven't got nothing right now as far as current after hours. We usually see that around, I think it's like about another half hour or so, maybe even a little bit less. Looking at it though, I'd be careful to catch a falling knife here, but you can see how well it held up on this last run. And even when others were kind of weakening, and NVIDIA has been the kind that really gives a lot of momentum to I pay attention to it. Well, it's one of the, what I like to call the big eight, but it's one that I pay attention to because a lot of times it'll try and lead the pack higher. And you can see certainly that's been the case over the last week or so. But we did want to drop back. If you're looking at it, I guess the support level will be coming here at 516.43. Some support. We move into a 2 hour. And you can see how well this had done. Man, it is blasted when we had those lows to a 20-day moving average, to the 50-day moving average. It just zoomed. Yeah, 516 would be support. But I wouldn't just go right off of that. Now, if you were short, it's obviously a good area to cover. There is some support here, right there, which is 519, but I think it went to as low as 518 in the after hours. But you'd be looking at 516 here. But once again, if you were short, we'll probably get some short coding if it were to make it down there. But you probably want to let this thing. It's already had pretty phenomenal run already off of those prior lows. Look at it here. You see here the 50% would be 513.48. It's 513.50 for the 50%, and 516 should be some support here. So look at that, 513.50 essentially is going to be the 50% back from here all the way up to this run. And that's from 472 up to 554. And you can see 556 was a key level, so it ran out of gas just before that. So once again, 516 support right there, with 513.50 being the 50% back. Oh, you're welcome. We'll go and take a look at the indices. We're seeing a little bit of a response here. You can see where we opened up, and they kind of danced around here. We made this rally up here to this 11,363. You can see good little area here right there. You see that? And I did trade it here in the Asian session and just grabbed a quick little short and winning that quick because I was kind of stuck in. I said, well, let me see if it'll come back. And thankfully, I wasn't greedy, so I was able to get out with just a little bit. And you can see they made this run. I'm like, I'm leaving this thing alone. Wherever it goes is wherever it goes. So I didn't even pay attention, but you can see here they ran up here, 363. Took a dip, retested it, which this wouldn't have been a bad area, but you can see it closed with a good solid bar here on this 5 minute. So there wasn't anything to say, oh, well, that's definitive, other than it coming up in here. I don't know if, see, that would have been at just a little bit after 10 o'clock. And let's see if there was anything to suggest. Tell you what, this 1 minute chart really does work good. You can see here at that 10 o'clock right there, and you can see here that, and this has been working really well on the NQs. When you get these little gravestone dojis, you usually get a decent little pullback. And you can see here, and look how much the volume, pretty decent volume. I mean, it wasn't gigantic, but I'm saying that you can see how quiet we were. And we jumped up here, we goosed some people up here, and you can see we get this gravestone doji. But you can see it was quiet going all the way down. Very, very quiet. Look, you're just sitting there. That's on a 1 minute chart. Eventually, we did work lower, but I'm just saying it was quiet the whole time. Look at the S&Ps. Looks like the NASDAQ had a better move overall. Well, not that much. You can see here. And the S&Ps, they weren't, the move didn't seem to be, it wasn't exaggerated move, but the S&Ps were a little bit more restrained. And you can see here on this move, we didn't go back up to that level. You can see here on the NASDAQ, look, we went and tagged the level. Not only did we tag it, we took it out by just a hair. And on the S&Ps, never quite made it back to that level. You see here? It's kind of a bit of a mixed bag. And here's a 30-minute. This is interesting because we did get a gravestone doji in the 30-minute. So they definitely would have gone with that. And they had just barely, you can't even really say that was a buy signal, just hair. But you can see while we rotated on, we talked about that the other week, how generally when you get just a little bit of a lip, but this wasn't even barely much at all. But excuse me, we'll go on and see this market then rotate lower much further when you see it move like this, and you'll see more follow through. And we saw that, but it's still trading in a relatively tight range overall. I think this market's still trying to figure out what it wants to do. I thought when they opened up in the Asian session, they tried to jump up a little bit and they came back down. I thought, okay, they're going to come back in here. Let's see on the NASDAQ. There we go. And I thought we were going to come back here and try and fill this gap. And we didn't. We actually started to work higher. I told you I was short. And then I said, well, let me hang on. If it takes up the highs, then I'm going to have to jump out. And I still wasn't too happy about it. But it did come down. and I was able to get out with just a little bit. But I'm glad I wasn't greedy. But I thought we were going to come right here, and then when we started to fail, I thought, okay, they're going to come and fill this gap, and that did not happen. And you can see here we kind of held it here. We did take another dip lower here, and right here, and then we just started to work higher. And I remember looking, I did pay attention to it when it was right around here, and I'm saying, yeah, they're starting to work higher now. And then I think around here is one of the last time I even bothered to look at it, or maybe it might have been here up against the 2-day VWAP. You can see that it went up there, 2-day VWAP. We pushed higher, back and forth, and we took that dip. Once we got back below VWAP, you can see here we made another run back to 2-day VWAP, and then we rotated lower. But it's kind of a mixed bag overall. We can take a look here at gold. Gold is kind of dipped back here. Now that's going off of that VWAP from, I think this was the VWAP from, no, it wasn't, just the key resistance level right here at 1925. They rotated lower. I haven't paid that much attention to gold. And then taking a look at crude oil, we did rotate lower again. You see here. With that, we'll go on and pop in the stories. Goldman Sachs says buy sterling as Brexit deal likely. Goldman Sachs is advising clients to buy sterling, noting that recent events indicate Britain and the European Union were converging towards a post-Brexit trade deal, which it reckons could be done by early November. The U.S. Investment Bank said on Monday that while the risk of a breakdown in negotiations could not be ruled out, our core view remains that a thin zero tariff, zero quota trade agreement will likely be struck by early November and subsequently ratified by the end of December. While Goldman Sachs analysts said probability of a no deal likely persisting beyond mid-October European Council meeting, they suggest going long the pound versus the euro, targeting a rise to 87 pence from the target 91 pence. A Brexit deal would significantly reduce the risk that the Bank of England would introduce negative interest rates, the bank added. The dollar holds tight ranges as investors await news on Trump's health. The dollar clung to familiar ranges on Monday as financial markets awaited news on the health of President Trump, who last week tested positive coronavirus, sending investors into safe haven assets. Risk-sensitive markets such as stocks rallied in early Asian trade after the Trump made a surprise appearance outside the hospital with an impromptu motorcade. But with Trump's medical status unclear, the dollar index remained little change against a basket of 6 major currencies, with not a lot of major economic indicators released this week. The focus is all down to Trump's illness. There's a welter of information about the severity of his condition and making it difficult for many market participants to make a move. Trump was flown to the hospital for treatment for the coronavirus on Friday, just weeks before the November 3rd election, adding another layer of uncertainty and market volatility. The president's medical team on Sunday said the condition was improving and that he could be discharged from the hospital as early as Monday, but other doctors involved in treating the president said the case could be severe based on the information they've seen at public briefings. Things are completely unforeseeable now, with the questions such as whether Trump will become less aggressive after his recovery and if his supporters will find that appealing. There's also a question of whether the recovery will garner more sympathy votes. Traders adjusted their positions in safe harbor currencies. The dollar rose a quarter basis point and Japanese yen to 545. Some market participants said that frank's rise against the yen was also partly caused by the news of Japanese NEC Corp's $2.2 billion acquisition of Swiss software. The Swiss franc climbed more than 0.5% against the yen to 115.04. Meanwhile, sterling investors awaited cues from the final round of Brexit trade negotiations as the in December expiration of the current transition period approaches. Prime Minister Boris Johnson and European Council President Ursula von der Leyen agreed on Sunday to step up negotiations on a post-Brexit deal. So let's go and get into the analysis. We are seeing here, you can see here Microsoft's after hours were 207. Apple at 114.35, so a little bit better open here. Not a whole lot beyond that. Let's go and get into FX. So the euro finished the week with a mixed bag in light of the NFP and Trump's coronavirus diagnosis. Support will be 16.58 with resistance at 17.87. And you can see here we're traded tight week anyway. Kind of like a little bit of a mixed bag for now, but we're still slightly in the bearish camp. We'll see what matriculates. And let's go to cable. Cable closed positive 4 of the 5 prior sessions. Resistance on Monday will be 29.95 with support at 28.30. We'll change this to bullish because we did see those good closes. Look at that. On to the Aussie Dollar. So the Aussie has been on a steady upside run after challenging support is 72 even. You can see here. Well, it's at 70 cents, but it basically was 70.20, but you can see 70 cents here. Resistance on Monday will be 72.42, which that's going to be a stretch from where we're at right now. Well, not too much. We're at 71.75 with support at 71.13. And we got to switch this to bullish also. Because remember, it's been a pretty decent run. Onto the Kiwi. So the Kiwi closed slightly lower on Friday, maintaining positive momentum, albeit. Resistance on Monday will be 66.85 with support at 65.77. It's had a pretty decent low run, but it's right here, and you can see where we closed lower on Friday. I'll keep it on the bearish side still for now. Let's go to the dollar CAD. The dollar CAD closed higher on Friday after testing key 3268. You can see that here. On Thursday, resistance will be 33.58 with support at 32.15. And the peso, this period been like all over the place, from one extreme to the other. So the dollar peso, after a furious rally, spent the last three sessions falling like a rock. The pair is expected to find support at 21.54. You can see right now we're at 21.51, right in here, which is a 61% back from this whole low. The resistance will be 21.85. So 21.54, but we're a hair below it right now. You can see they're using basically this 21.50 area here. Let's get right here. Right here, this 21.50. But I put 21.54, we're a little bit below it, and 21.85. I don't like to just change my analysis just for the sake of changing it and say, oh, okay, here's the low. I mean, that does make sense. You can see right here, there's 21.50 right there. Should see a lot of good support right there at that level, which is 21, right at 21. It's actually like 21.49. No, it's not. It's right at 21.50. But I put 21.54 to 61%. So, like I said, but you can see here some good support right there. Let's go move into the dollar yen. One minute till UK data. And there'll be Eurozone data too. Dollar yen rallied off the test of 105. Resistance on Monday will be 578 with support at 508. Okay. You know, I was thinking we almost dipped down here. No, we haven't. So 508 on the downside. And 578 on the upside. And on to the cash dollar index. Been saying this dollar is not reacting to this to the indexes. And you can see here when the index is sold off on Friday, the dollar didn't rally. And I've been saying that. I mean, people keep saying, oh, that's the reason why the dollar is rallying, because the stock market had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Oh, UK data, a little bit better than expected. Cash dollar index. Dollar index continued to show an inability to rally in the face of risk off. The index closed only slightly positive on Friday. Support on Monday will be 93.24 with resistance at 94.34. So I have a little bit wider range depending on if we got volatility, but 93.24, 94.34. And with that, we'll go and move into the cross rates. So the Kiwi yen saw a solid rebound off the 68.59 level. See that right there? Resistance will be 70.74 with support at 69.37. Onto the euro yen. So the euro yen closed mixed for the week. You can see here, up, down, up, down. Now we're moving up. Resistance will be 24.11 with support at 22.75. And onto the euro odd. So the euro odd closed the week at the lows. You can see here how it finished down here. Key support will be 62.77. Well, we haven't even broken 63 though, with resistance at 64.05. So we're just smack dab in the middle, doing a whole lot of nothing. So 62.77. 64.05. And on to the Euro Kiwi. So the Euro Kiwi finished the week testing key support level 76.37. The pair needs to hold above 75.88 to stabilize. Resistance for Monday will be 77.32. So 75.88 on a break, although we're holding relatively well. And 77.32. And on to the Aussie yen. So the Aussie yen posted a rebound off the test of 74 even. You see here. Resistance will be 76.27 with support at 74.84. You can see here we're really quiet to start the week out. So 74.84, and 76.27. Now to the guppy. So the guppy saw a solid rebound over the last week. You can certainly see that. Resistance on Monday will be 36.73. Well, it looks like we actually just made it here to 37. 36.73 with support at 35.39. There we go. So we're right there, 36.73, currently trading 36.79, but they did poke up here to 36.98. So, and then lastly, sterling odd. So sterling odd posted a solid day on Friday, keeping the upside momentum. Resistance will be 81.16 with support at 78.97. Once again, we're trading a quiet range. And there you go. We have a relatively quiet start to the week. We do have ISM data here in the States at 10 a.m. Eastern. That should move the market a bit. But like I said, we're trading relatively quiet. And we're going in, let's see, we'll take one quick twirl. You can see here, we're opening lower here in after hours. Well, actually, you know what we are? Moved up a little bit higher. Look at Amazon. And look at Tesla. Decent jumps. But we're not all that much higher here in indices. Mixed bag in it. But that's what we have, and we'll go on and post a bias chart and get that in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.